All right, everybody. I'm here with Kimberly Burkhalter. Did I say that correctly? All right, perfect. And you're all the way on the West Coast. She's still laughing. We just talked about her last name and trying to make sure I could pronounce it correctly. There was a lot of back and forth. I like to say that I'm better. I just didn't expect a last name. People spelling my last names in the same place. It's more difficult to do that correctly than it is to learn Pole, out of all things. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
So you got the name great. It's Kimberly Burkhalter. So right now I am the current owner of Fun Pole Fitness. I'm hanging out in San Diego today talking to you. But originally I came from Tennessee, which is where I went to college in Tennessee, got my bachelor's in statistics, moved all the way out to Arizona and Phoenix, got my master's in statistics. And that's when I moved to Vegas. I started working for Caesars Entertainment, fell in love with the statistics game. Pun intended, it is a gaming corporation. And that is actually where I found my love for pole. I was going to the gym just to stay active, didn't want to be the desk sitter that, just sat at my desk and ate a bunch of snacks and didn't do anything. So I was going to the gym, but that got really boring really quickly. And then one day I just decided I love, I already loved dancing as a child. I
Mm.
didn't actually participate in any kind of dancing. I just liked dancing around the house very sillily.
Yep, I
But
still do that. Yeah, to this day, my cats look at me very, very strangely.
yep, I have a pole in my house now, and they are very concerned when I'm on it. But they're fine. They're super fine.
Right.
But I took my first pole dancing class in Vegas and absolutely fell in love with it. Within 6 months, I was teaching and managing the studio underneath the owner and the head instructor.
If we were
And
to pause right there, just so because I'm curious, I'm a curious guy. So you got your bachelor's and then later master's in statistics, and then you fell in love with statistics as an industry, which is kind of backwards in some ways. But what do you like? Because I'm a data nerd. I love data. You obviously like that as you had mentioned before. So what is it about statistics and Kimberly that just kind of go together?
I like the free formality of statistics. So the backstory behind how I got my degrees was originally I was going to go into accounting, but it's so rigid and so structured. And it just was not for me. I need to be creative in the things that I do. And while there is some formality to statistics, you can't just go off the rails and be like, ice cream sales and shark attacks are the same thing. Um,
Right.
yeah, you can't go off the rails with it. There is some formality, but it's not as rigid. I still love math and numbers, but it's not as rigid. You could do many, many, many more things with statistics than you can with accounting.
That makes sense. From an SEO perspective, doing all the marketing, a lot of people, the way you start almost any engagement is with keyword research. And people say, "Oh, I already know the different keywords," and I'm just like, "No, no, 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 no. We need to take a look at a large amount of data to draw some very simple conclusions on what's going on. Like, what are the trends? What are the market trends in your area? What are things that your website, or let's bring it down. What is your pole studio doing well? What are the different channels that are you're getting conversions from? What things are you doing but are underperforming? Where are there opportunities? And all of this is lumped together in keyword research. I could not care less about what keywords. I'm more interested in the topics and how users in your area are behaving when or reacting to you and your site with it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is like playing around with statistics and recreationally playing with Excel, which, yeah, well, I mean, we all do that. Be like, hey, what do I want to have for dinner today? Make a random number generator. We all do it. And if you don't do it, that's just because you don't know how to make random number generators.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy. It stops a lot of arguments. Just trust me.
Just spin the wheel that is Excel's random numbers, and
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
lands on everyone agrees to, you're done.
And it's really simple. So
Yeah.
am I correct in assuming that it's very similar, like taking a look at general trends to inform, and then you can always dive into the numbers more as things pique your interest. But a lot of It sounds almost like data science.
It is similar. My degree is technically in business analytics. Both of them are. Business analytics can mean a plethora of things. So it really, it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm an analyst. There's a lot of those, and we all do different things. Everyone is super valid, but that doesn't necessarily give you the correct description.
I like the authoritative point. All right, go on, go on.
um, so yeah, so I do right now. I'm focusing in my job at really like overall trends. How are people perceiving the things that we're putting out? And I do use things that I've learned on the job for the Pole Studio. Right, my website, it just got redesigned. How are people coming to me? How do they find me? And I keep mentally and on Excel spreadsheets, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, I track down response rates to proposals, being like, okay, where did this slightly different? How? Now let's test it on 20 people and see yeah. Yep. I'm right there, which is interesting. You said you were originally interested in accounting. There are actually a large number of accountants in the pole world that I've talked to. You would be very surprised. One in particular is coming to mind. Hi, Faye. And so when I'm thinking about that, every time I've talked to them, they're always like you said, the numbers always have to make sense. I have a business partner, and he kind of straddles that. He was in strategic planning over at ExxonMobil, and he has one leg in like you're saying, analytics, seeing the broad trend of things, and the other leg over in accounting, where here are a bunch of good ideas, but it has to make sense. The numbers have to make sense. So there's that whole duality.
Mm-hmm.
I say all of that to kind of lead up to when somebody sees trends, generally it's somebody that thinks in the way that you seem to, they don't just jump on something and say, hey, I'm just going to do this now because I'm bored and I have a pocket cash. So what convinced you to get your pole studio?
The convincing part was that long story short, I was in Vegas managing a studio, teaching 15 hours a week, doing a lot, being super involved. I got my new job and moved to San Francisco, and I didn't have that anymore. And I realized how big of a part of my life that really was, and how much joy I got from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went maybe 10 months, all the way up to when I actually bought the studio, without teaching a single class or, helping a studio in any shape, form, or fashion. I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
Back in October, I came across Fun Pole Fitness, and the seller was amazing, super sweet, but she was ready to move to the next stage of her life, travel the world with her husband, have a great time, in retirement. And, we talked and decided that I was a good fit for the pole studio. Of course, I met with, the leaders of the community and made sure that they also thought I was a good fit. But once everyone was okay with me, that was it. That was the jump point for me. It was one of those, this is a scary moment because I've never owned a business before. I've managed one, but actually owning it is slightly different.
It is.
And so I've never owned a business before, but I was just like, he's never going to shut up.
No. Introduce your cat. like he wants to be part of this for everybody tuning in. He already wanted in earlier, so might as well actually say hi. So who is this? The real interview begins.
He is being really bad. He turns 4 tomorrow.
What's his name?
Bear.
Bear? Oh, that's sweet.
He looks like a little panda bear.
Oh, okay. I have a naming convention. I have 2 cats myself. One is Countess Leora Fuzzbutt Chirpington III, Queen of the Raccoons, because her tail looks like it. Champion victor over the evil Mouse King at the Grand Battle of Bedtopia. And her I guess, foster brother, he adopted us. His name is Tabula Rasa, the Rakshasa, dark overlord of the goblin armies, evil oppressor of the elvish realms of the east, and we call him Tabs for short.
I would hope so. Could you imagine yelling that down the hallway?
Getting them microchipped is kind of fun, but yeah, Tabs, and it suits him just fine. So, all right. So we all expect to see a happy tale, and since like 60% of the internet is all involves cat videos, I'm glad to be part of that larger group as of now. So you
No,
mentioned
find
employer.
this. Sorry.
No. Go on. Go on.
So the jump point for me, the no turning back was once I had met everyone, I had come down, met everyone, and everyone was like, okay, we think you would be good for us. And then that was when I, called up my mom and said, if I don't do this when I'm older, I'm going to look back and be really upset with myself. So no turning
That's
back
Yep.
now. It's scary, but progress doesn't happen unless you do some sometimes scary things.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I'm to quote my future father-in-law, a juggling acrobatic magician who was trained by a French mime because of that exact thing. I hit an age and I'm just like, man, I can make a choice to be slightly more awesome or slightly less awesome. And future Elliot's going to be disappointed in me. So let's go and be more awesome now.
For
Right,
sure.
exactly that. So I understand that. So when you were introducing yourself to the pillars of the community, like who were these people, and what exactly did they want to see? How did they vet you?
So the first time
Extra nosy.
I introduced myself to obviously the instructors. So in any pole business, in any pole community, you know that your instructors play a huge part. You have your regular clients who come in, your regular students that, are just an integrated part of the community. But I
Right.
first decided to meet with everyone all at once in person in San Diego. So we took some classes together to show that I can actually pole dance. I'm not the greatest pole dancer in the entire world. That's not my aim. Uh,
Hmm.
but I do actually understand pole dancing. I have taught lessons before. I'm not coming into owning this business blind. Also, that I have the right attitude for the community. The community of Fun Pole Fitness is really fun. That's kind of why it's part of the name. Is because we're there to train and work hard, but we're also there to be silly and have a good time. It's not. Um, we don't take ourselves super seriously. Now, if we're training for like competition or something, yeah, we do. But for the most part, we're there to have fun, wiggle our butts, and then get really strong, learn cool tricks. So that's
Yeah. Whenever I'm stressed out, wiggling my butt is definitely a thing I do. I get really awkward looks at Walmart and the supermarkets, but you know what? When you got to do, if it works for cats and dogs, it works for me.
yeah. So that was kind of how it went. I came down for a weekend and took some classes with everyone so that they could see my style, how I interact with other students. And then we all obviously went out to dinner together, and I kind of talked to them about some of the things, some of the ideas that I had. Now, obviously, when I come into a functioning business, the goal is not to flip the business upside down because it's
Right.
great. The community that I was coming into was already amazing. It was just to enhance. So I definitely took a lot of feedback from them on what they were looking to see, more along the lines of, more community events, even if it's not related around pole. Definitely more community events, more teacher gatherings so that they can see each other. Sometimes in the pole world, you're just passing ships in the night when you are instructors because
Yeah.
everyone is so busy.
Yeah.
The availability to meet up with each other and have a good time, even if it's just going out for drinks or dinner, is super, super important. So they were looking for more along the lines of connection instead of just studio day to day.
And I'm a big fan. You're right, because then it just becomes a job and people don't really know. I'm a big fan. Every Wednesday, I invite my family over and we all cook dinner and make sure that we like that day at the very least. Like I don't know if we watch a movie after or play a board game. Getting together, it helps. We're all parts of tribes and getting part of it. So what's interesting is the fact that you showed up specifically to buy this studio, which meant that you were undertaking a process of vetting different studios because you knew you were interested in buying them. So even before you met a Fun Pole Fitness, you said, "Hey, let me just try." And did you feel confident about it?
Confident about meeting up with Fun Pole Fitness?
Purchasing a studio. Like,
Ooh,
yeah,
the confidence I wouldn't.
yeah, yeah,
the it's you definitely have those moments to give myself away. I'm only 27, and I definitely have those moments where I'm like, I am in an adult body, but sometimes I definitely don't feel like an adult. And this is one of those times where I was like, I'm trying to buy a business that's a pole studio. This is an actual like real adult thing. And so, while I do think that I have my, head together and all of my information together in order to do something like this, it was still very like, ooh, this is a life milestone for me, because it was something I had wanted to do anyway, but it was a milestone that I was getting close to hitting.
Right. Yeah. And then you feel a large amount of imposter syndrome. Just
Extreme
like
amount of imposter syndrome.
you're like,
But
hey.
the founder of Fun Pole Fitness was amazing, and she still is, especially during current events, which we'll talk about later. She was, absolutely amazing throughout the whole thing. And talking to me about what her day-to-day looks like, what mine could possibly look like. So she definitely helped boost my confidence on that one, because she had built such a strong and amazing community. I wasn't so nervous about taking it over.
And may I compliment you? I obviously deal with a lot of different businesses, being in online marketing myself. And so I've dealt with, I mentioned one of my past jobs where I was in charge, chief growth officer of like 2,000 to 4,000 different websites on any given month. So I've talked to all sorts of businessmen, people who say, hey, I'm really great at this, or they all have their different ideas. So my compliments on not going in and saying, oh, by the way, I've got opinions, and then just acting on that. For everybody watching, it happens all the time. But the best thing to know, especially with statistics or digital marketing, is you're wrong. That's number one. Your job is not to, you're always wrong. Your job is to figure out why you're wrong. And what I always say is there's no such thing as an expert marketer, only an expert tester, because iterative testing is really what's going to end up giving you what you want. So I see a lot of people who talk and is like, no, this is the way things work. I'm just like, okay, but Google disagrees. And at the end of the day, Google's the one that ends up mattering. Like really, it's identifying what is. So my compliments to you about not flipping the business upside down, but instead saying, I like the word that you used, enhanced. It's a very diplomatic word, but really taking a look at what's going well, what's not going well, instead of shoring up weaknesses, exemplifying strengths, and especially building a tribe and a community with all the different instructors. Not a lot of people, I'll say number crunchers, necessarily understand that aspect, that there is, to put on my business hat for a second, a specific economic benefit to having happy employees and happy students.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about intangible benefits, and to quote my business partner, his mentor said, hey, if it's not an economic benefit, is it a benefit at all? And for everybody listening, happy employees is a provable economic benefit that you have. Oh yeah, yeah. It just is. So yeah, people are your best assets. I'll get off my soapbox now. You can tell that I'm incensed with a lot of people really messing things up. So yeah, so you went there, you bought the studio, you're already looking for the studio, you agreed upon a price, you high-fived literally everybody. Everybody says, that's how you say hi. Yeah. Everybody says, all right, we're down with the Kim. Let's see, just looking down the different questions. So what struggles did you have? Because everything up to this point has said, hey, I'm into statistics. I think about things. I knew the exact right things to do. So now I want to hear, like I always say, 2 petals and a thorn. You've given me 2 strong wins that you did. So tell me a story of how everything sucked.
Oh man. Okay. So
yeah, those quiet secret moments at like 10:30 at night when you're just second guessing yourself and shrinking inside your own clothes.
Everything stopped for me when I thought I may have to pick up the business and move the location, which was not something that I had originally planned for. I really thought that I was going to have to pick it up and move it.
Why?
Which was really hard. It was just due to some very political things in the back end.
Okay.
I really thought I was going to have to pick up the business and physically move the location, but it's been in the same location since it opened in 2009. It's the location it's home. It's it's a figurehead, not necessarily a figurehead, but it is, on North Park Main Street where we're located. It's been there for so long. So many people have passed it. And I really thought that I was going to have to pick it up and move it. And that was a stop point for me, because I just had not planned for that. That was not something I had planned for. Of course, everything worked out, but that was a stop moment for me where I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to pick up this entire community and move them. They're not going to be happy about this. This is their home. This is where they've been coming to.
Mm-hmm.
Programmed in their brains. This is where this is where their happy place is. And oh no, I may have to move it.
And it's completely new, especially during that transition time. I believe you said it hasn't been too long since you bought it. What was it? You're going on 1-2 weeks now? I kid, but what was it? It's very recent, yes?
The actual transition of the studio happened on March the 3rd. So official. I'm the new owner. Previous owner has relinquished her duties. So that's when everything happened. And I'm going to just check my phone to tell you what day it is. That is 21 days ago.
Yeah, so I was off by 1. So 3 weeks. So, wow. You're just starting your adventure. When did you find out you might have to change location? Just so we have a timeline.
Oh, man. That was in the middle of January.
Middle of January. So before you actually transitioned, were there papers that were signed, or?
So there have been a couple of papers that had been signed. We were waiting on a few more to be signed, and there had come a thought where we were like, maybe we have to move it just due to some things. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be. Ooh, I could pull this one out of my butt, but it's gonna be a rough one.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't ever want the word rough and that proximity in my body to be put together. That's like wiping with sandpaper. So no, thank you.
We're almost there. It's the apocalypse, and there's no toilet paper.
I know, and so few people know exactly what leaves are good to do it. So for everybody asking, feel free to reach out to my lady Destiny. She's the writer over at PolePedia. Her other love is herbs and plants, and I don't know the answer to that, but boy, am I glad. When the apocalypse comes, I will have a toilet paper substitute.
Yes. I've only owned the studio for 3 weeks as of today. It's been a fun ride for sure.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the meat and bones of the virus, because hey, so 3 weeks ago transition happened. And then let's continue the story. What did our hero do?
So 3 weeks ago, we transitioned. I started teaching because legally then I could teach. So I started teaching and, introducing myself to the community. Of course, the previous owner was there with me, saying her goodbyes, but they're not goodbyes for long. She's always welcome in the studio that she opened, as always. And she'll be back to visit. So, we were having a great time. Business was amazing. We had lots of parties, coming in, parties. Our classes were amazing. And slowly, every single day, the situation with the virus was just getting worse. I know everyone feels this, where you're like, 10 days ago, if you would have told me I'd wiped down my groceries with, Lysol wipes, I would have told you were crazy. And so, back again, I would have told you were crazy. And so, but no, so slowly every day I was hearing more and more about it. I was keeping up with the CDC, keeping up with the, San Diego and federal and legal, like all of the government, all the way down to the San Diego city, I was keeping up with, which is a lot of information, a lot of news.
Yeah.
Sometimes you definitely need a break, but for this one, I could not take a break from the news because I absolutely had to know. That's so bad. Pardon me for 1 second.
No worries.
You're the absolute worst.
But he loves you and is bored. All right. So I'm
Shadow Realm.
right. So, nice Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Now my mind, I was thinking about something and also now it's off to the side. So there you know, there you know. Uh, so one thing actually with the coronavirus, especially with online marketing, a lot of different things have happened that a lot of people don't really think about. They're very aware of, hey, there's no toilet paper, but they don't think about what exactly does that mean. It went from there's no toilet paper at my local store to manufacturers trying to set things up, and then they don't understand that there's the lines of logistics are gone to the point where Amazon is no longer shipping out third-party goods, and which means that a huge amount of Amazon affiliates and a lot of online marketers that work for themselves, their businesses have essentially ground to a halt. So whenever you see something, I know PolePedia, we've done reviews. We don't have many affiliate links, so that's not the point. But a lot of people shipped or had fulfillment through Amazon. Now they can't do that anymore. So the manufacturers have been hit. The people who are marketers for themselves have been hit. All of that has ground to a halt. And I know one of my friends, his personal income has dropped by 2/3, just because overnight it's gone. So even beyond, hey, I can't get it at the local supermarket, even behind behind the scenes, it's going to be affecting or is affecting a lot, many other things beyond just, hey, can I have my door open and do I need to use leaves and which leaves are best, as we were saying. Uh, so so the CDC came out, you were hearing about it, and then now what are you doing with your studio? Did you, yeah,
I had to, so I kept track of everything, obviously, and the
spreadsheet
weekend of the
recreationally?
14th was March the 14th was when parties from everywhere had started to call and ask to rebook at another time in the future because they weren't certain about traveling and their safety and their health. And while obviously we were doing everything recommended by the CDC and the World Health Organization to keep the studio clean, it's still a fitness business and you're still in close contact with people. Yes,
Yes.
our poles are far enough apart, but regardless, you're still in close contact with people.
Right.
And so as someone who has, had respiratory issues in the past, this is a respiratory disease. It's something that seriously worries me personally, but also for my community, right? I just stepped in to lead this community and I feel like I need to do right by them. So after all of these people calling in and saying, hey, can we rebook for a future date? Absolutely. That Monday morning, Monday, I think the 16th, I had to make the awful decision, but good decision for the health of people to close the doors. It was really sad, writing up the message and posting it, to people, in their emails and then on Instagram and Facebook, writing that, hey, it's been a great 13 days, but I have to close the studio doors in order to protect your health.
Yeah.
This
And
is close quarters, and regardless of the 6 foot of distance, I'm still personally myself dealing with travelers from out of town who aren't so worried, and I'm very worried.
and that's actually a good point. I don't want to. Part of these interviews is also to help spread awareness because not a lot of people understand. To use an anecdote from my life, I'm here over in Tyler, Texas, and where Destiny's family is. My family's over in Rhode Island, and my family works in healthcare, and apparently so does Destiny's. So Destiny's mom and dad, who live all of 4 houses away, like they're in the same exact neighborhood. They're cool people. I was friends with them long before I was ever dating Destiny. But her mom works over at a nursing home with not necessarily assisted living, although some of that is there. So if her mom were to get it, like say I went to California, San Diego specifically, recently, if I were a carrier and I were to get it, and then Destiny were to go over, high five her mom, then she has officially, indirectly infected an entire group of people who are in the war zone, even though you and I are not, and what the CDC is saying, the war zone. Likewise, Destiny's grandmother, she is a head nurse somewhere, and she's also in the target or the beginning of the danger zone. So there is a lot of, it's not just 1 degree, but 3 degrees removed that you have to think. And since we're all 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon, our job is to keep Kevin Bacon as safe as we possibly can.
Yes.
Because for every one of us that is thinking about it, there's going to be somebody else who isn't. If you have a respiratory disease, you say, well, there's lots of respiratory diseases. I'm just like, okay, yes, but it's not you. It's the next people 2 steps away.
Yeah. And, you know, with me being new to the community, I don't always know, you know, everybody's story yet. I'm obviously willing to learn them, but with everyone walking different paths in life, you know, having that temptation to come out, even though it wasn't official in San Diego and California until 2 days later, having that temptation to leave your house because everything else is closing. What else am I going to do? Really just weighed so heavily on me. I couldn't. So right. I had to close it, which broke my heart. But it is more, this is bigger than just, oh no, my business is closed. Physically, obviously. My business is closed physically. You know, woe is me, but not really, because hopefully that stops people from being vectors and infecting others.
So, forgive me if I'm being too nosy. How has that affected, like your Pole cash flow on the back end, such as rent, utilities? Have you contacted everybody? Are they giving you a break? Have you not even broached it yet?
So we are essentially like revenue is, in a word, ground to a halt. And so it's been super rough with that. We as in the community of people that I share the building with are.
I know parties are a huge amount of revenue.
Parties are huge.
When all this blows over, book a ton of parties, everybody. It's the best way you can support your pole dance studio. Just trust me.
Yeah. And so everything is essentially ground to the halt, and because it has, even though we're offering like online classes and stuff, it's not the same experience, and I totally understand that. Learning online, something physical like this versus learning it in studio with people and community is really really hard to transition to, especially on the tip of the hat. So with this, right, I am talking to the other members that host their businesses in the same building to see what we can do. California is, slinging out legislature, trying to help businesses, small businesses, and even just individuals through this really rough time.
Yeah, California, the 12th largest economy in the world. Not the United States, just by itself, just that one state. So there's a lot going on. Well, I hope it works out. Is it promising so far?
It is promising.
All of your answers have heavy sighs. They all start with, it's like, all right, let us gird. Yeah.
It is promising with with how forward and progressive the way that California thinks. I think if I was located maybe somewhere else, I might not get the same amount of help, but who knows? In times of crisis, people, may be more willing to lend a helping hand.
Yeah.
So I am still looking out for resources. Again, we've only been technically under stay-at-home orders for 6 days. So everything is really in the fresh beginnings of how they can help businesses, how they can help individuals. Everything's super fresh. So I'm keeping an eye out on it. Like I have a webinar later to attend to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that when hopefully all of this is, taken care of and goes away, and who knows what time that will be, that there is still a fun pole fitness community to come back to.
That's actually a good transition point. So like, what can everybody do to help you? Like, this is hard. Instead of taking it saying how can I affect the business? what is something that the community at large or specific to you can they do to really help you?
The biggest thing is I'm still trying to have the community come together via online classes. I am personally hosting 14 hours a week of pole dancing classes. And it's not just pole dancing, it's things you can do at home in the space of a yoga mat, right?
Yeah.
It's flexibility, conditioning, floor work, chair, things that you can do in just this small area. I think 3 of my 14 hours is a pole dance because not everyone has a pole at home. So I guess some of the things that people can do is if they're looking to train with community, even if you're not part of our community right now and you're looking for one to come to, we do have online classes. They are, right now they're like $15, which is way lower than our regular 35. Those are happening every night of the week and on Saturdays. Sunday is a rest day because everyone needs a time to rest. Although people probably feel like they're resting a lot nowadays. Now, at home.
I can attest to that.
If you're waiting for everything to blow over, obviously there are gift cards that you can buy. We do offer and honor gift cards, whether it's for yourself or someone else. And then the other thing I'm doing is on my Instagram page, the Fun Pole Fitness Instagram, I am posting just something small for you to do every day at home. This is cat number 2. It's a totally different cat, and he's going to have to sit with me through the rest of the interview because he's being the demon as well. Cat number 2 is Lily.
This is what?
Lily.
Hi, Lily.
It's definitely a boy, though.
Yeah, I like his very, very, very blue eyes. He's like, now I'm here. Now what?
And of course, he's 10 years old. He's used to my shit.
I can tell that he looks slightly annoyed and doesn't want to be right in your lap, but has also learned to give up the ghost of the fight.
The other thing that I said I was doing is on Instagram / our Facebook, right? I'm posting to both. Is every day I'm posting just something small you can do in your home. One small doable trick at home, whether it's on the wall or on the floor. That way you have something to kind of look forward to, something to move with yourself. And it's simple stuff. Like last night's challenge was a body roll. The night before, just rolling, woo. You can add your hair, you could do whatever, right? So something simple like a body roll. Some of them are a little, like the very first one I did was like a shoulder stand. That's a little harder. But now I'm working towards just something that you can do at home to move your body, feel good about moving your body. And, you can send videos if you want to participate. But that's the other thing I'm trying to do right now that is obviously free because it's on Instagram. And then every couple of days, I post a live Instagram showing more of a breakdown of what I'm doing.
Which is actually something that would maybe synergistic with what we're trying to do with PolePedia. Obviously, I'm doing these interviews. My goal is to talk about pole dance studio owners because just the same way that you can mention that you want to make sure that there's a community to come back to, pole studios are these hubs, like the center of the wheel that where everybody congregates and ends up meeting up. Mm-hmm. So anything that helps not just grow the community, but also to keep people there, keep people aware, is what I'm doing. So perhaps at some point you and I could chat about having one of those free live things that we have a pole dance accountability partners group.
Yeah, I saw that.
Destiny was doing it, but she is struck with the plague. She has a doctor's appointment later. Not COVID-19, we don't believe, but she definitely had a cough, a fever, and now a major earache. So I apologize to everybody. Just as she started doing the live streams, she had to stop. She is practicing a lot of floor work. It's what she calls the nap. There's usually a blanket involved, and that's pretty much all that she can really do. She's a superstar.
Oh.
But if you're willing, like just to spread things out, help you get your face out there, like you mentioned, things that people can do to help you. The more we all work together, the better. I always say mutually assured success rather than destruction. Whatever helps one helps everybody. So Do you have any like final words or things that you may want to say to the pole community as a whole? Advice for other studio owners? I know it may again, imposter syndrome, since you've only owned it for 13 days, uh, or at that point, but I guess or 3 weeks now. Uh, with your business background and your analytics background, what's something that you would be able to share that not many other people would understand or be able to share themselves?
So the business background, since I've only owned mine personally, for 13 days, there's not a lot of like fun pole fitness related business that I could say. But in general, as we've talked about, the community is the biggest part. If you don't have your community behind you, or at least feel like they're still part of the community as a whole, then there's nothing to come back to. Your studio physically can sit there all day, but the point of everything that I'm trying to do is, yeah, at some level, yes, money is a concern, but really it is about showing that personally, as the new leader of the community, I'm going to do everything I can to make you still feel like you're part of it. I know we're all trapped at home, but come see my face on live stream. Let's just pop in, tell me how it's going, or catch me on Instagram Live, things of that nature. So the biggest thing that I would say is just continue to hold your community together the best that you can, whether it's just having little pop-ins and saying hi to everyone. You don't have to do anything pole related or work related. Just pop in and say hi. Something. Hold your community together, because that's what's going to come through at the end of all of this. Whether your building is still there or not, really doesn't matter, but it is those connections that you make with those people that hold it all together.
And actually, to add on, or I agree with that. Besides the PolePedia community, which Destiny tends to manage herself, I have 3 others that I'm doing. I'm doing a like one, like I'm doing this with pole studio owners. I'm doing one with my local area. I have another one where I'm talking to online marketers. And oh, we're moving. Oh, there we are. All right, perfect. For cat-related reasons. Hey, Lily. So now you're upside down. Yep, Tabs loves that too. So, but it can be a grind, especially when people are not waking up and saying, I need to have at least one post, and you put it out there and it says, seen by 3, liked by no one, in a group of 900, just kind of makes you go,
yes.
okay, well, I better figure out another one to do right now. This is great. So really, the best thing that you can do is energy is reciprocal. The more we have, the bigger it gets, till we can power Chicago with our energy and giggles alone. But really, just like something, even if it's just a like, and not even just a thumbs up, because that does nothing for me personally. Like, add a haha, especially if it doesn't make any sense. Make me curious, make me confused, make me want to ask, because that's what's going to help me push things forward. That's obviously what's helping you, especially being new to the community, trying to get everybody and be like, hey guys, hang out with me, which is the adult version of being like, will you be my friend? In kindergarten. Like, really, we're all in this together. We all have different struggles. It's not hitting any one, it's hitting any all. Exactly. Any advice from the statistical part of things? Not even on pole, but just business as a whole?
Ooh, statistics are going to be real fun. For anyone looking at numbers, not even if you're, just if you're looking at trends, like how many people are visiting my website, just anything small like that. Expect this to be one of those periods that send your data either spiraling or incredibly upwards. So it's something that we would call like a control chart. So
Yeah.
if it's within these bounds, it's in control. It's things that you're used to. It may have ups and downs, but it's things that you're used to. This is going to take your chart, blow it up, and make a whole new one, whichever direction you happen to go, whether it's up or whether it's down. It's definitely going to make you a whole new control chart when you're monitoring any kind of business. So you're either you're in the toilet paper Germex business and your control chart is blown way up, and now you're like, wow, we're selling everything. And, you know, alcohol companies are now transforming their factories to make hand sanitizer.
Right.
Or you're in the pole business and you go, oh no, everything is down. My students are at home. They can't come visit me anymore. They can't see their favorite instructors. So this is definitely considered like an out of control period. In the future, when we look back on our data, we're going to have to remember that this was a time when the world was flipped upside down, and you're going to have to account for that.
Which is actually very interesting from an online marketing standpoint. You're absolutely correct. So everybody knows, before the interview, I was showing some of my clients to Kim here because we geeked out about numbers because numbers are great. And I showed that one of my clients, Skillshare.com, has seen a growth of 60% over the past week over week. And even then you can see it shooting all the way up because we're all at home. But from a conversion or just revenue flow standpoint, do what you can to support your studio owners who don't have the ability to do this. But more than any other time, now's a great time to build an audience, talk to people, make friends, make connections, and then you can worry about any kind of monetization later. It really doesn't matter. Mostly get together, make those connections you would have been too busy for otherwise. It doesn't mean a phrase I say with my lady, especially when things are bad and we have a flat tire, we're like 15 hours away from our destination because I was on the Ren Fair circuit. So we did a lot of cross-country traveling. You just have to look at it and say, okay, so I guess this is the adventure we get to have. And just kind of smile, enjoy, and be like, okay, so ignoring all of that, I'm going to sink or swim. My grandmother said, if you're born to be shot, you'll never be hung. So don't worry about it. So just what can you do? Have some fun, meet up with some other people, get to be friends, and please like comments, please.
Anything, even if it's little.
Yeah, even if it's little. All right, I'm going to end unless you have any extra words, I'm going to end the interview here. I'd be happy to chat with you afterwards as well, but
just stay safe, follow guidelines. I'm no expert in that, but just stay home, stay safe, and make sure to reach out to your community, whether you're part of it or a leader in it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thank you very much for your time, Kim, and let everybody who's watching this video, let me know if you want to hear more. See ya.